going to tell me when you're... Okay. Okay. Am I ready?
Ready to rock.
Okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome in. We are so glad you're here tonight. We're coming to you live from Hollywood, California at the historic Ivar Theater. Can you smell the history? It smells a little musty in here, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being here, our live audience, and thank you for all of our streamers that are out there tonight watching this. It's great to have you. We encourage you to leave some comments and questions in the chat as we move along. We will not be answering those in real time tonight, but we will come back and address those later, and we would love to hear your feedback and your questions. So I want to start by introducing our team tonight and our panel. We're very honored to have these gentlemen here with me tonight. I'm going to start on the end with Mr. Ryan McKee. Ryan is an entrepreneur and a producer. Yes, give it up. Give it up. He's been working on several projects over the last several years here in film and documentary and television projects. His most recent project was a feature film called Senior Moment with the legendary William Shatner and Gene Smart and Christopher Lloyd. And for those of you who don't know who they are, shame on you. And that was a very successful feature that he worked on most recently. And also, he is the co-founder, along with myself, of EverStar Entertainment. And one of the things that we're really excited about, we may talk a little bit about tonight in terms of NFTs, is our most recent development deal that we signed with the co-founder of the FX channel, Paul Shavelson, for a television show called Wingding. And we're really excited to be entering into this agreement with Paul, and we're going to be working on that. So let's give it up again for Ryan. There we go. All right. And next we have Adam Jolly. And Adam is, I refer to him as an NFT pioneer. Because, you know, when we get to... when you're early on in an environment like this, titles are kind of like, what do we call people who do NFT stuff? But Adam is a member of EverStar. He is our NFT consultant and advisor, all things NFT, and he will answer lots of questions, I'm sure, tonight. And he is also former military, because I know we have a lot of former military people in our audience tonight, so former military. And Adam, we're glad to have you here tonight as well. All right. And we have next to myself here, we have Justin Shenkarow, and he is an Emmy Award-winning and Golden Globe Award-winning actor. And if you look him up on IMDb, get ready to clear your schedule because you're going to be looking for a while, because he's been in the industry for a long time. He's performed in many films and TV shows that you're maybe aware of, and I don't know if it's most recent, probably not most recent, maybe, but his most recent, I guess we will say, is the CBS show Picket Fences, right? Yes.
Well, that was for a few years ago, but yeah,
I mean, yes. Well, COVID makes everything like what's most
yeah,
recent anymore, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the most recent thing I did was, I mean, I have something on Disney Plus right now called Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah, you're doing the voice.
Cartoon, and
yeah.
I was on a show called Z Nation for a while, which was a great show on Sci-Fi. That was a lot more recent than Picket Fences, but yeah. That was a good one for sure.
That's awesome. All right, Disney Plus. We got any Disney Plusers out there? You recognize his voice? Okay, there we go. Okay, awesome. Well, I wanted to start off tonight, and I'm going to try to be very brief with this description of NFTs, and I hope that my team here will correct me along the way if I say something that's out of line, but I'm trying to simplify the definition of what is an NFT. Everyone that I talk to says, oh yeah, NFTs, I've heard of that, but then the next thing out of their mouth is, but what is an NFT, right? We all get that. So I wanted to describe it to you in just fairly simple terms tonight. So tonight, earlier, actually last night, I came over here and took a picture of the Ivar Theater out front, and it's on my phone right now. It's a digital photo on my iPhone, right? And it's a unique photo because it's the only one that exists like it, because I just took it last night. I took a couple of different angles, and so the lighting was just right with the neon sign. It looked really cool. And it's the only one in existence that's on my phone right now. And that makes it unique in the sense that it is the only one, right? So that makes it non-fungible. It's a non-fungible item that is one of one. Okay, so everybody gets that? We get that? It's one. It's the only one that exists. Now, if I want to prove that it's the only one that exists, and I want to prove that I own it, I might want to make that into an NFT. And by doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign that NFT. I'm going to assign my name to it, and I'm going to put it on what's called the blockchain. The blockchain is a digital ledger that keeps track of digital assets like that photograph and other things, many other things. Anything that can be digitized in the world, we would put on that blockchain, and it's going to be assigned a number that goes along that identifies that particular photo, and my name will be there, and maybe some other information on the blockchain, right? But the blockchain is actually a very smart thing because it follows that item from now until the end of time. It's going to follow that item, and it's going to know who owns it, and it's going to know certain attributes about it, like how much it was bought for if someone buys it, how much it cost. And it will always come back to me because I'm the original creator and owner of that. Now, I can send it over to Tracy, and she can put it on Facebook or put it on Instagram, and people can replicate that photo, but I'm the original owner. I actually own the photo, and that blockchain is going to prove that, and that's what makes it into an NFT. I'm so glad to see these guys nodding next to me right now. That makes me happy. All right, so there's one other element that I want to mention here, and that is my ability to then pass that NFT along to someone else, okay? I'm going to pass it along to someone else. Now, Miguel might look at this in the front row here. He might look at this, and he may say, I really like that photo, but I don't really know if I want to buy it. And so I might say, well, you know what? If you buy it, I'm going to attach some things to this photo. So not only would you, if you buy it, not only will you own the photo, but you're going to get some other things that go along with it. And those are called utilities. And the utilities are things that sweeten the pot. They make that item, that digital item, worth more to someone and desirable to someone. So I might say to Miguel, I might say, look, Miguel, if you buy this for I'll charge you $300 for my photo of the Ivar Theater. And I'm going to add some utilities, which are some perks that you're going to get. One of those is going to be that any event that's in the Ivar Theater from now until for the next 20 years, you're going to get in for free in this building because you own that NFT, and that's a utility attached to it. It makes you kind of a VIP for the Ivar Theater, right? And that might be important to him. He might say, wow, that's a really good deal because they have concerts in here, they have different events. That's going to save me a lot of money down the road. And that would be called a utility. And there might be some other utilities that I might attach to that item along the way. But there are things that I think he might be interested in, whatever that might be. I try to figure that out, and I'll attach those utilities. So now, not only does the photo become valuable to him, but those utilities become valuable to him to where he says, sure, I'll pay $300 for that. That's well worth it. So he buys it from me. When he buys it from me, the blockchain understands that, and it assigns his name to the item, takes my name off my name's still the original owner, but I'm not the current owner because he now owns it, and he's going to sell it now to Tracy because she caught on to it, and she's like, hey, I want some of those utilities. I want to be able to come into the Ivar for free. So she's now going to buy it off of him. But thing is now is it's worth more money because she wants it. He's got it. He says, all right, Tracy, it's $1,000 now. She's like, oh, okay, I'll buy it for $1,000. So she pays him $1,000. And now all the utilities that go along with that are now in her possession. So now she has ownership of coming into the Ivar Theater anytime she wants and what other utilities are attached. But here's the best part. When she paid him $1,000, some of that money that she paid came back to me, a percentage came back to me as the original owner. And so let's say Tracy sells it to Drew, and Drew sells it to Nan, and Nan sells it to Sertjeet. And it keeps going in the room, and people keep buying it. And every time you sell that NFT, every time, I get a cut. I get a percentage back. Doesn't that sound kind of like, wow, that's a pretty good deal, isn't it? That's a pretty good deal. And it's going to happen from now until the end of time. We don't know when that will be, but it's going to happen a really long time. So that's my talk on the NFTs in the quickest way that I can explain it. And I know that leaves us with even more questions, but I'm hoping that tonight we can answer some of those questions as we go. And one of the things that I really wanted to jump into here, well, first of all, let me just open this up and say, do you need to correct me on anything that I said or add to anything that I said?
I actually have something. Just one small anecdote. When he talked about your name being registered as part of it, part of the deal is being anonymous. So unless you want your name out there, it actually is more like a string of code that is unique to you. So you don't have to have anybody tracking you. So just keep that in mind, that it is somewhat anonymous, but what happens is that you can actually end up being able to look at that code and see like what the code associated with it. A lot of people do what's called doxing, where they impose themselves and say, we are the real entity, but there's other groups that like to remain more or less anonymous.
Clayton, I thought that was fantastic. Great addition. I'd like to just bring you along everywhere I go so that when people ask me what NFTs are, you can give this eloquent answer. Awesome. Maybe you should also record that and sell that recording as an NFT.
Hey, I like that.
Because I would buy that, and then I could just say, here, this is what it is.
I love it. All right. Done.
It's great.
Done. We've got it recorded, so we're good. All right. Well, I wanted to jump into our first question, though, along these lines, because one of the things that I know all of us are interested in here as the future of the entertainment business in this room and on our streaming here today is the element of building community. This is not just a financial transaction animal for us, okay? Although it is that, and we described it as such just a moment ago. But Justin, I want to ask you if you can kind of walk us through a little bit about the importance of the NFTs as a community building space of fan engagement and community building. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we say community so often that it's kind of cliche at this point. Yeah. But first off, how many people in the room have bought an NFT? All right, we got one over here. How many people had heard about an NFT, or how many people had known what an NFT was before Clayton gave us the explanation? Okay. All right. So pretty much everybody has an idea of NFTs. We got one buyer over here. All of us obviously are buyers up on stage, but that's great. So now we got to get the rest of you to start buying some NFTs. Yeah. Super cool. Well, community is a great question. It's really what NFTs are built around, community and utility. And I've been in the NFT space since late January of last year, which is not a long time in most industries, a little bit over a year, but in the NFT space, it's I'm like an OG. It's a long, long time because the space changes so quickly. And fortunately, I was able to get in early, so got involved in a lot of wonderful projects. Bought a lot of crappy projects too, but a lot of wonderful projects, and got involved in a lot of fantastic communities. So, in fact, after this, I have to go to an event which is around a very big NFT project that has a very strong community. Now, communities are really what make NFTs thrive. They are what people buy NFTs primarily for. Now, you have people that buy NFTs because they want to flip them and they gamble and they see it as a financial transaction. That's definitely a big part of it. But another big part of it is being part of a community that you want to be part of. And that community is really becomes a huge part of your life. Because with this community, you're able to make decisions and make friendships and create companies and buy projects together and do whatever it may be, do films together and help the project succeed. And that's what really NFTs are all about, is building community, being part of community, helping each other in this space. And it's just thriving. We're in the beginning phase. So I suspect many of you are here as aspiring filmmakers or aspiring actors, directors, producers, writers. And this is a wonderful time to learn about NFTs. It's a wonderful time to be involved in Web3, because up until practically a year ago, if you went to film school, you would be out there doing a short film, submitting it to various film festivals in the aspirations of it getting bought, which are very small. You'd go work at an agency like CAA or WME. Maybe you go work at a production company. These are kind of the traditional routes that you would go. If you're an actor, you get an agent, you go on auditions. These are all the kind of traditional routes. This is kind of what I did. Now, in this new world, You can be part of an NFT community. You can meet other people within that community. You can buy projects together. You can make films together. You can finance your films through NFTs. You can really start to think very outside the box in terms of what you're trying to create as an aspiring filmmaker or aspiring person in the entertainment industry. There are no boundaries right now. We are in an unprecedented time of growth, technology, and imagination. So really, whatever you want to create, you join with your friends or a small community, one other person, yourself, or many more, and you can really create whatever you want. And if you're able to build a community around yourself, people that really enjoy your work and enjoy your passion and want to be part of the project, you can take something and have it explode. You can be the next Spike Lee, Steven Spielberg, you know, whoever it may be. Whatever you want to create at this point is you can do.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit further. I know we have some music students here that are interested in the music side. We have filmmakers here as well. And Adam and Ryan, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here to talk to us about some of the existing films and music pieces that are out right now that we can kind of wrap our head around a little bit. It'll help define it for us.
One of the things I saw recently, NFT LA was a conference back in, was it March? It's going fast. And they had brought out Charlie Sheen, who has not done anything for a while, and he had been approached by some folks about NFTs, and nothing really sparked his interest because it was mostly just taking, you know, old memes from shows he'd done and just putting them out as NFTs. And he said, I want to do something that really feels exciting and tangible. The guys that had done Entourage had approached him, and they are now putting together a show, and they kind of announced it at this event. And they were partnering with Mark Cuban, who's got a company called Fireside, which is this sort of online platform community of people where you can get on there and get involved in projects. I think it's mostly filmmakers. There may be some musicians, I can't remember. But it's an online kind of social hangout type space. And so they had people that were on there doing like viewing parties and things while they were talking on stage. And so they're partnering with that community to build awareness, like we were just saying a minute ago, about people who care about this project. So these guys are now hearing about this thing. Charlie's involved in this show. They were able to put this whole thing together because they own the rights to it in 4 months, whereas it typically will take a couple of years to get something put together through a studio or the typical sort of production route. And they own all of the rights to the show. So Charlie had made the comment about back when he was on 2.5 Men, he used to wear these certain shirts in the show, and he had thought, well, it'd be great for me to take these shirts. It was the bowling shirts. I don't know if you guys remember that TV show. He had these bowling shirts that his character used to wear all the time, and he's like, I'd love to just, you know, put a line together and talk to some retailer and license these things. He said, you wouldn't believe just the hoops that I had to jump through, and they finally clamped down and said, no, you can't do it. You know, the studio had all these restrictions and the legal departments. They would not let him go out there and license these T-shirts. And he's like, it's just a cash cow. You guys are going to make so much money off these shirts. The cool thing now is they got this show. They own the rights to it. They can do whatever they want to it. They're going to launch NFTs attached to it. They can do whatever they want. They want to sell merchandising. They want to sell their IP. They can do any of that stuff. And you're partnering with your community to allow them to help market your show. They're going to make money as the value of that NFT attached to that show goes up. So there's all these benefits for your fans to feel connected. And so that whole idea of community, it's not just this passive thing of I'm going to make something and I want to mass market it and hopefully I get a bunch of eyeballs on it. I can get very targeted. I can find people that are really into my show, and I can partner with them, and they're going to feel connected to what I'm doing because there's a sense of ownership and partnership with it. So whatever I'm selling, whether it's just traditional merchandising or if it's NFTs, those fans and those people that love what you're doing want it to succeed because it drives the value of what they own up. So they can sell it on a secondary market and make money, and the show guys can make royalties on those NFT sales. So there's just this whole ecosystem that's being built around this for creators. It's going to change the game. And the big studios, you know, the Disneys and these people that have brand loyalty because people love what they create, but there's no customer loyalty from a lot of the bigger brands because there's no reason for them to be loyal to the customer. They just, hey, if you stop buying my stuff, we'll just market and get more people. The creators that are going to provide customer loyalty taking care of their fans, reaching out and saying, man, you have bought everything that we have put out over the last 10, 15, 20 years. You know what? We're going to shower you with this just love and affection and appreciation. Those are the ones that are going to win. And when he mentioned Web 3, do you guys know have you heard the difference, like Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, sort of the version? Okay, so Web 1 is like the early 90s and the whole internet explosion. Web 2 is social media explosion that's been happening over the last few years. Web 3 is this new sort of decentralization, and the NFT and crypto and all that is what's happening. And it's just kind of under the radar right now, but it's going to become very mainstream here very, very quickly. So it's exciting. It's very exciting right now.
So how many of you guys heard of the rapper Tory Lanez? All right, a few of you, several of you. Okay, so Tory Lanez, not too long ago, several months ago, actually took an album, and he sold 1 million copies on the blockchain of his new album at $1. And he sold out in 57 seconds. Okay, those of you that are in the music space know exactly what that means. That's huge. Okay? He freaked out. He literally was on the phone. He Instagrammed it, and he said, what, in 57 seconds, he said, sold out. And he freaked out, ran, threw his phone on the ground, jumped in the pool, celebrated. He got out, and he ran up to the, to his Instagram phone that his buddy was holding and said, you guys have no idea. I'm so happy for you, because not only did I go platinum, we went platinum together, community. And at the same time, he also said, you guys are going to make so much money. Because one of the things that's on the blockchain is digital scarcity. Because it's verified, it becomes scarce. Those 1 million albums, there's only 1 million real albums. And so those people that owned and bought those, maybe in droves, 300 of those albums, spent $300 for 300 albums, can resell that on the secondary market and make 15x, 30x, 40x, because there's only 1 million of these albums. The community now got to profit from investing in someone they believed in the first place. That's the kind of power that artists can have with their communities. And as far as community, if you want to think of rudimentary terms of something that you already know from the Web 2 space, Twitch. That's how Twitch artists got, or Twitch people got big, is their community centered around them. They interacted with them on a chat space. They had their own little shtick where you would talk with your chat, and you'd be like, hey, chat, how you doing? And you'd be talking to Johnny, or hi, Johnny, this is the 5th time you talked to me this week. How are you doing? How's your cat? And then they'd turn around, and those people would dono or donate and give subs. That's they could build communities off these things. That's a basic rudimentary term of Web 2 that you can think. You can take those similar strategies and apply that with your NFT projects. If you want to come out with music, just think of the same way. You're engaging with your followers. You're able to actually look on the ledger of the blockchain and say, holy crap, this one string of code that's attached to this wallet, in this case Johnny, is the one that's bought every single one of my art pieces, every single one of my films, every single one of my music albums. And you're able to go, holy crap, as I scale, I can, as Gary Vee said one time, I can buy this person a house because I want to reward those people and say thank you. So you're able to actually engage directly with your community, and that's what makes this so powerful, and the reason why you should pay deathly close attention to how the culture is going to shift in the next several months and even several years.
Awesome. Well, Justin, I think one of the things that I want to swing over to and talk about for a moment is, as an actor, I think you bring a unique perspective to the NFT world here. Many of you are content creators. We have some performers and we have writers, as we talked about a moment ago here, and directors. And we don't want to pigeonhole you and say, oh, well, you're an actor. Why would you ever want to be on the business side? Or why would you ever want NFTs? But I am curious as to how, from an actor's point of view in Hollywood, in this industry, how were you attracted to this space? And what does it do for you as a content creator, as an artist, and as an actor?
Yeah, great question. Well, when I got brought into this space, we all have stories about how we found out about NFTs. And one of my good friends brought me in from college, and he said, we're going to buy some NFTs. And I said, what is that, non-fat tequila? And he said, no, it's non-fungible, what is it? Thank you, non-fungible tokens. And I said, I have no idea what that means. But fortunately, my buddy and some other friends from school educated me, and I immediately saw, once I started buying NFTs and getting heavily involved, what we call getting red-pilled right? Because you go down the rabbit hole. Once you go down the rabbit hole about NFTs or Web3, and you open up your eyes to ownership and all these various things, you start to realize, holy smokes, this is the future. Like all of us, I'm sure, on stage have done, and many of you will do soon, hopefully. So I immediately saw that NFTs were the future for IP, because I'm an actor and I'm also a producer. And, as a producer, I buy books and podcasts and life rights, because comic books, as we know when we go see a movie, everything's based on something else. Studios typically don't buy original projects because they don't want to take a risk. They want an inherent community already that has spent millions of dollars, or millions of people have seen something, so then they'll go put millions of dollars into a film and say, all right, hopefully there's a lot of the risk that's been taken away. Whether it works or it doesn't, that's the way they like to think. So I saw NFTs with these massive communities, and I thought, holy smokes, this is the new form of intellectual property. The next cartoons that we watch, the next films that we see, the next television shows that we watch, in my opinion, over the next 5 years, all of them, or a vast majority, will have started as NFT projects. Because as an NFT project, as you mentioned just a little while ago with the Charlie Sheen, they raised capital in 4 months. They built a strong community. So what network and studio is not going to want to pick that up in a year after it's been a successful show and say, okay, we'll put that on Netflix. We'll put that on NBC, right? So that's the way I saw it as a producer. And as an actor, I thought, well, here's a great way to differentiate myself as an artist. Because as an actor, we're one of millions of people that are aspiring actors in our crazy business of Hollywood. I've been working for longer than I can imagine, and it's a lot of peaks and valleys as an actor. You work a lot, and then you don't work a lot, and it's just a constant battle and a struggle until you reach a certain level of fame, and then you're okay. But even those people are always struggling and battling. I know a couple of them, and they're always like complaining and looking for their next gig, right? So the struggle never stops as an actor. And as an NFT collector and being part of communities and being part of the entertainment space within the NFT world, you form great relationships with talented filmmakers who are now making new projects that you can associate with. I can associate with because I'm an actor. I've done more voiceovers, and I do a lot of voiceover work as a professional actor. I've done more in the last year for NFT projects than I've ever done in my life. In fact, I started my own animation company. So I do cartoons for NFT projects, and I work with some of the biggest NFT projects doing their cartoons, because I thought, how do I work more myself as a voiceover actor? How do I work more myself as an actor, right? In the traditional Web 2 world, that would be, like, look at all the greats, right? Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Vin Diesel. A lot of the great actors become filmmakers because not necessarily maybe they want to be, they don't want to be, they do it because they have to. Because that's the only way they're going to get famous. It's the only way they're going to get work. Nobody's going to hire them. They'll work a little bit, but they want to get a certain level of fame. Nobody's going to cast them in the star of their film unless they make their own film. It's the way it works. So now you take that element and you add NFTs to it. You add Web3, and you form community. And now I can put myself as an actor into projects that I'm affiliated with filmmakers in the NFT space. I can put myself in projects with other actors and voiceover people that I'm working with in the NFT and Web3 space. So it's a very, very opportune time to get into this space. It's a very small space right now. It's a very small community of people that really know each other, that want to work with each other, that trust each other, that care about each other. It's a very positive space, unlike, frankly, the entertainment industry is very shark infested, right? A lot of people it's highly competitive. Now, I'm not saying NFTs and Web3 aren't competitive, they are, but right now we're in the beginning. And in the beginning, it's all about supporting each other, helping each other, using our imagination, and coming together. So there's, phrases like "wag me," we're all going to make it, right? There's a lot of positivity in the space. So as an actor, as a voiceover actor, as a, somebody in the entertainment business for many years, I recognized very quickly this was a great, great new community to be a part of, to strive for myself and to support other people in the space. So what I would highly recommend for all of you sitting here and watching the stream is to invest a lot of your time into the NFT Web3 space, especially as aspiring people in the entertainment industry. Because I can guarantee you this, all the top studios, all the top agencies in Hollywood and in New York, they're all dabbling in the space right now. They're all contacting some of us on stage, and other people in the space. They're in the space to some degree, but they're still not quite in the space to the degree that you can be in the space. And so you can add huge value to them. You can really set yourself apart. So how do you learn about it? Go on Google, type in Andreessen Horowitz, which is one of the biggest venture capital funds in the space. They put a lot of free articles online. So there's what's it called? If you type into Google NFT canon, NFT canon, you'll come up with about 100 free articles on NFTs. Go do it. Do it tonight. Start reading those articles, and that will really, hopefully, help transform your life in the industry.
Awesome. Great resource. Thank you for mentioning that. So in a sense, though, Justin, as an artist and as an actor, the NFT space has really given you ownership of your own career and of your own projects, much like the Charlie Sheen idea here. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the other thing is, sorry to take up too much time.
No, you're good.
Is as an actor, a lot of times as an artist, we feel helpless. You know, it's like we're at the mercy of other people casting us in their part. We're at the, it's a very peaks and valley kind of industry. Right. As an actor. A musician's a little bit different. A singer, you can always be kind of in the recording studio pumping out songs, putting them on Spotify, even though you don't make money on Spotify. Now you make money in the NFT space. Yeah. But as an actor, you can feel helpless. It's, it's a tough business. Now being in this space, it's totally different. You're surrounded by a community, like we talked about earlier, of people that are like-minded, that want to create together, that want to come together and create new things and also make money at the same time. He's going right now to go on Google to go look it up. Good luck.
There he goes. Yeah, there he goes.
He's out early. I like it.
Well, we have a lot of students here who are, aspiring entertainment lawyers and agents and managers in the business side. And so, Ryan, I was wondering if you could kind of speak a little bit to how, because we can talk about how it works for the actor and the creator, and we understand that world, and it makes sense. But what about for these guys that are the business side? What's the potential? Here's my question: what's the potential for them as the next generation coming up in that end of the business? How would they utilize NFTs? What do you see there?
The challenge right now is that this entire new industry there's not any models for it, really. There's NFT accountants, there's NFT lawyers. People are trying to understand, how do you work with, let's say, in a typical film project, I'm a producer, I want to attach a star to my movie. I might do some sort of thing where they make points on the back end, or maybe I'm going to sell merchandising, and so we pay them a certain salary for the use of their likeness, and there's all these different things that we have had in the industry for 50 years, right? So people are familiar with that model. Now all of a sudden you come in and you go, hey, we're going to have an NFT attached to this film. We're going to take a bunch of behind-the-scenes photos. We're going to have 10,000 of these different, each one's unique. We're going to assign some utilities to it, and it's going to be the actors and different people that work with us on this project. We're going to use their likeness. We're going to sell these things, and we're going to finance this movie. We're going to raise $10 million and finance this movie. And now we're going to say to this actor, let's say it's a big-name actor, hey, by the way, we're willing to sell. We're going to have 5 points on the back end or percentage on this royalty every time this thing sells. Maybe we'll give you a point. Maybe we'll let you have a little bit of stake on the back end on that royalty. So now there's this whole new income stream and model for negotiating with actors, directors, anybody you want to attach to your project, because they look at that and they go, this isn't just, a nice little residual. This is actually something that can go on in perpetuity. This has the potential to be something that people may sell. Let's say it's Back to the Future, and you've got a 30-year anniversary comes out, and you bought an NFT from 30 years ago, but Michael J. Fox makes money every time that thing has been selling over the years. That's just a completely different model, and really nobody knows how to put that together. People are trying to figure out, what does that contract look like? How do we set the terms for this? Do we have sunset clauses on this stuff? Because how long do we want to have to fulfill these utilities? We're all experimenting. So the cool thing is, if you are, in that sort of agent lawyer space right now, it's the wild, wild west, and you've got an opportunity to kind of establish yourself as an industry expert. You get out there, you figure these things out, you help people put together these kinds of deals, and all of a sudden, within a couple of years, you're going to be the one that's establishing, precedent and figuring this kind of stuff out. And the studios are going to be looking at you guys going, please help us get our, affairs in order, because we don't know what we're doing. Because a lot of these guys are all old school lawyers and accountants. That's fine, but they've been doing a different model, and that model's not going to go away. It's just things are rapidly shifting into this new direction. So, did that explain it?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, we'll open the floor for questions here in a moment. So if you have questions that are sparked as we're talking, I hope you write those down or remember those so we can move through some questions here in a moment. I've got one last question for Adam before we open the floor. And it has to do with what I would call the no-nos, the no-nos in NFT world, in the community, and as a customer buying, and all of those things. What are some of the red flags or no-nos, things that are bad etiquette or bad form in the NFT world? Can you talk about that for a moment?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So, to what Ryan said about the Wild West, I'm going to go off that line for a second and actually talk about the Wild West. You can almost think of it as like the people that moved from the East Coast to the Wild West and tried to build and establish. That's kind of where we're at with this Web3 space, where it's not really super regulated yet. There's not really systems that are in place yet for infrastructure. And there are snake oil salesmen that are out there trying to take advantage of the entire thing. So there's going to be people that are in the space that is going to be, hey, we're this great project, we're going to be doing all these great utilities, come buy our stuff, and then the next thing you know, they just rug you. And the terminology is called rugging. So rugging is a big issue. It's not the only issue, but that's going to be the main one to look out for, that over time, as you develop your spidey sense in the space, so to speak, you're going to be able to know how and when to look at the red flags and go, oh, that's not a good red flag. A basic one would be you would know someone's BSing you on social media when you see that they have 100,000 followers, but they have 2 likes on their posts, right? A lot of projects will buy followers and try to make it seem like they're way bigger than they are, so you get what's called FOMO, or fear of missing out. And you're going to be like, I got to get in this project because everyone's about it, and I'm going to make a lot of money if I resell it or do whatever. So, and then those guys will go dark after the sale, and you don't know anything about it. They shut down their Discord, they shut down whatever they're using as their platform of communication, and you get rugged and you lost all that money, and there's no way to find out about it. Now, I don't know the exact article off the top, but just recently I was reading about how the SEC was actually cracking down on people who rugged other individuals in the space. So they are moving in that direction. But that's the big one to look out for, is you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be rugging your constituents or your community. So whatever you do decide to promise in the future, if you decide to put out a project on NFTs, you need to make sure that you can actually under-promise and over-deliver, and scale with that. So as you get bigger, as your project gets bigger, now you can add more utilities or more things or more rewards for those that are involved in the creative process with you and as part of your community. But don't ever promise something and then not deliver and then just go dark. That's rugging, and you will get cracked down on that eventually. And so that's the main roadblock to look out for. Don't be that person, and just research about rugging to learn the red flags associated with it.
Okay, great. Well, I know there's a lot more to all of these questions I've asked, but you probably are just wondering, hey, what in the world are we talking about? So I want to open it up to you. I'm going to ask you to, if you want to ask your question, you can address it to anyone on the stage here, or you can throw it out, and anyone that wants to answer, just be loud and clear so we can hear you. So do we have some questions? Our first question for the night. Who wants to jump in? If you don't jump in, it means that we were so clear. Yes. Can you speak really loud?
My question is, how do you differentiate between good sites and bad phishing sites?
Uh-huh.
To connect your wallet and put your NFTs out there?
So how do you differentiate between good sites and bad sites to put an NFT out? Is it?
Sure. So a quick one is, when you start delving into the NFT space and you start looking at projects, most, if not all, like major projects are going to be for now on Discord until something better comes up. It's not the perfect solution, but I mean, some use Telegram, but Discord is a really common one that you're going to see. Join our Discord, and when you join the Discord, they're going to try to verify you and get all this stuff, and then you're going to be in this whole chat of community where that you can centralize and like to build together. Now, the thing is you can get DMs, direct messages of people saying, "Hey, man, there's this new project that's coming out. Come check it out." Or, "Hey," or they'll pretend to be one of the people, one of the main developers that is in the project, and then try to say, "Hey, dude, if you give me your wallet address and your passwords associated with it, I'm going to hook you up right now." And then you'll be like, "Hook, yeah, let's go, and then all of a sudden you've lost all the money that's in that digital wallet. That's a very common tactic. So the way you differentiate when you go to places like Discord is watching out for the DMs. If they ask for your information, just like anywhere else, if they ask for your personal information, that's a huge red flag. So it's not so much sites as it is where the communities congregate. And in this case, Discord's the most common congregation point for NFT projects. And then, like I said about social media, the engagement, that's another red flag that you can look at as far as whether or not you should even invest in it, regardless of whether they're malicious in intent or not.
All right. Excellent. Do we have another question over here?
My question was more about trading. So how do you want to find information on projects before they come out, like alpha? How would you find alpha on a project before you come, I'm trying to find a good project ready to make money on it.
So how do you find a good project how do you research the good projects to jump onto? How do you know to buy, right, and trade?
Well, I've been in the space for a long time, so I'm part of several alpha groups. But if you're just getting started, let's just say you're here, you haven't bought an NFT yet, you're trying to figure out, all right, I want to go buy an NFT. Well, you can kind of delve into it yourself, or you can meet somebody else here that's tonight and be like, all right, let's kind of create a little group. Let's create 2 of us or 3 of us or 4 of us. We're going to create a little group on Twitter or on our iMessage or a little Discord group, and we're going to start looking at projects. We're going to start looking at projects on Twitter, because that's primarily where projects are going to be, on Twitter and Discord. And we're going to check out their websites. We're going to see how many followers they have, how much engagement they have on Twitter. As Adam said, we're going to look at their Discord. We're going to see how many followers, how big their Discord is. But then we're going to dive into their Discord and see how many are bots, how active their Discord is, how many people are actually communicating. Then you're going to go to the website. You're going to look at the art. You're going to look at the team. Is the team doxed? Meaning, can you access them to some degree? Who are they? What have they done before? Have they launched projects before? Have they been successful in entertainment or the business world? All of these things you're going to do. And then you're going to share that information with your little group of friends, and they're going to provide you with information. That's what our alpha groups do. And you get to the point where typically, you just trust your alpha group if it's people that you really trust, and then you guys all start buying together. You're like, all right, this one looks good. Let's go ape in. Let's go buy this stuff. Or not. And that's kind of how you get started. That's how I got started. As I mentioned, a friend of mine brought me in. There were 10 of us. We just started buying NFTs together. It was, I guess, we didn't even know it was an alpha group or a DAO or whatever it may be that you could call it now, but that's what it was. And that's how you started. You link up with somebody who you're sitting next to now and be like, I'm interested in these NFTs. Let's go figure this stuff out together. It's easier to do with somebody else or a couple other people than yourself. And you dive in.
The thing to keep in mind, too, is it sounds incredibly complicated. It sounds very, a lot of steps, right? And here's the reality. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. It's just the reality of where things are at right now. And, you're making an investment. You're spending your money on something. You want to make sure that you're not getting played. So you have to sort of figure it out. Just putting your money into like MetaMask and then transferring it and trying to buy stuff and get crypto, it's a nightmare. It's frustrating. You're going to spend hours trying to get verifications and all this stuff figured out, and you're going to think like, is this even worth it? It took me weeks just to figure out how to even use MetaMask, and even just getting into Discord. I mean, the whole thing was like, it's just this process where you're learning lingo and terminology. Here's the thing, remember, you're in a very early stage. And all of these problems are going to get sorted out as we continue on, as more people, start to adopt this and get into the space. And one of the frustrations, there's sort of catch-22, I guess, is as bigger organizations get into the space, they are going to help streamline some of these processes and make it easier for more people to get into NFTs and all that stuff. The flip side of that, though, is that as bigger companies start to come into these spaces, they want control. They bring sort of their Web 2 experience, and so you say, well, the Googles and the YouTubes and the Instagrams and all these people are going to get in and start kind of, kicking around and taking control. And the whole thing with Web 3 is that we're trying to move away from that. We're trying to put the power back into the hands of people to control their destinies, so that you creators can go out and finance your own projects. But there's a lot of hoops to jump through. There's a lot of process to figure out. It's frustrating. So we want big companies to get in there and make things easy for all of us. So it's 1-2 clicks, and then it's verifications, and we can see, oh, this guy's been vetted. We know that he's solid and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you're like, man, I hope when they get in here, they don't just fuck the whole thing up, because it's gonna be brutal. Yeah.
Totally. And the other thing I'll add to that, because that's a great point, is there's a lot of friction in the space right now. MetaMask is a pain in the butt. Discord's a pain in the butt. But then you master it. It becomes easy. It doesn't become easy, but it becomes, it's like riding a bike, right? Once you get to do it, it's not a big deal. But learning it initially is kind of a pain. But is it worth going through that pain now and that friction and being early in the space and being an innovator and being a pioneer and making potentially life-changing money, potentially create projects that are going to change your entire life? Or do you want to wait for 50 million, 100 million people to be in the space, 1 billion people to be in the space, and then you're just one of a sea of people? You're just one of a number. There's the opportunity. Yeah, there'll be opportunity. It's Web 3. It's about ownership. But there's not going to be opportunity like there is right now. So that I challenge you to do it, because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And I challenge you to get into the space and do it now.
I often use the example, I liken it to like in the 70s when you had George Lucas is negotiating on Star Wars merchandising rights. And at the time, nobody thought it was something that you would do. Why in the world would you want to go make toys about your movie? Fine, whatever. And, I think it was Fox just gave him, like, yeah, sure, whatever, take whatever you want. We're more interested in the film. And it became, incredibly lucrative and billions of dollars on that thing. And so since that point forward, everybody starts doing merchandising rights on all their movies, and all these big studios realize, shoot, we just missed an opportunity here. You guys are in kind of a space like right now, it's almost that George Lucas moment where you go, I can actually come in here and I can negotiate and create something for myself that nobody else is really thinking about. And it's going to not take very much time for everybody else to start catching on to what's happening, and then realize, oh, we need to jump now into this space and start dominating as well. So we have this period of time where we can get really innovative and creative, and you are going to be a big fish in a small pond, but that pond's going to continue to grow, so it's going to change the dynamics over time. So.
Well, I do have one more question, Justin, for you that I forgot to ask a moment ago. And it has to do with your consulting and your working with people in the industry and in our industry. Have you run up against a lot of people who have rubbed up against you in the sense of this isn't going to work? Have you had a lot of negativity, or have you been lucky to get with people who are innovative? And because I know, we know the Hollywood system is antiquated at best. Yes. So I'm wondering what struggles you might have been facing in that as an advisor and consultant.
Great question. Well, I got in, as I said, late January of last year, when nobody knew what an NFT was. I just was fortunate to get into the space, and I was yelling and telling everybody that I knew, NFTs are going to change your life. They thought I was crazy. I told my entertainment lawyer, my agent, manager, everybody I knew, actors and so forth. They're like, this is nonsense. So definitely early on, there was, people that just thought I was cuckoo from the entertainment industry. But as we've all seen up here, and you saw at NFT LA, which was sponsored by Warner Brothers, all the studios are now in the space. All the agents have NFT teams. CAA, WME, they all have NFT teams run by smart people. All the studios are in it. they're smart money and smart people that are in the industry. They're all extremely knowledgeable about NFTs. They're doing projects. So at this point, over the last 3 months, no. So, I advised one of the largest global comic brands and entertainment studios to get into the NFT space about 6 months ago, and we did really well. We had two tremendous sellouts, and highly successful, and pivoted the entire company towards NFTs and Web3 because it's run by a very entrepreneurial CEO, which is great. And those are the kind of companies I feel that are going to have huge success, because Web 2, when we say, Web 2, pretty much everything is Web 2. Most companies, studios, have a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, right? There's, hard to make a decision. It's got to be run by 1 million people. Web 3 doesn't work that way. Web 3, cliche at this point as well, we say moves at lightning speed, incredibly fast, right? 2 weeks ago, the market was on fire. I was at a wedding in Carmel for a friend of mine from college, and we were minting, some land from Bored Apes. We were all trying to mint in Big Sur, which we were able to, but it was a pain in the butt. The market's on fire. Now the market's in the dumps. Hopefully we come back. I'm sure we will. But that's how fast it changes. Incredibly fast. Every day is, you have to be aware of what's happening in the space. So therefore, these studios, they're getting involved, they're interested, and that's why I'm saying to you, sitting in the audience, you need to get in, because in 6 months, a year, the space is going to change dramatically. I'm speaking at NFT NYC, and next month I spoke last year. Last year was the first conference I attended. I've spoken at many conferences all around the world at this point regarding NFTs. And, last year it was huge. This year it's going to be 100x what it was last year. And still, most people in this room, you've not bought an NFT yet, right? Except for one gentleman over here. So just imagine what it's going to be like in 2023, 2024, 2025. So again, I challenge you, go on Google tonight, go look up NFT Canon, go read those articles, if you don't know the person next to you, shake their hand, go form a little alpha group, start doing some research on NFTs, get in the space.
Awesome. Well, I know, Justin, that you do have to travel across the city here tonight, so we want to let you get back to your car, but we want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise with us and encouraging us. So thank you so much.
Happy to. Thank you for having me, Clayton. It's lovely meeting you guys, and obviously incredibly knowledgeable. And that's the great thing is, this space is about community and collaboration. You talked about it earlier. The more awareness you have on your project, the more people you can collaborate with, the better. So we'll definitely collaborate. And just excited for all of you sitting in the audience and watching, the stream live, about hearing about NFTs, getting in the space. And I want to follow me on Twitter at Justin Shenkarow, or on LinkedIn, the same thing, or and let me know, DM me, let me know what you're working on, what project you're launching, what project you're looking to buy, and happy to always be here as a resource, and I want to learn from you too. So excited for all of you.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Take care. You too.
All right, we have time for a few more questions. So we got one right here. Okay. Sure. Okay, so the question is, so you're a dancer and a choreographer, and you wanted to make an NFT, but you weren't sure what copyright violations you might be breaking if you used a copyrighted song for that, right? Okay, Adam, you want to address that? Is there a way around that issue?
So blockchain does not make you exempt from current law, so to speak. I mean, already established stuff, right? So what we have with like rugging and some of the other stuff that was referred to, that's new territory for the blockchain. But if you're using currently used songs and that's going to be on the blockchain in perpetuity, that's something you have to tread very carefully on and make sure you have complete control of like the yes from the person who created it. because part of the whole idea is that you have ownership of your creativity. And so if you're going to take someone else's creativity, you need to make sure that's good to go and that actually makes sense. So just like on Twitch or YouTube, you can't put up a song without getting copyright struck. You have to make sure that the content that you're using in your content is actually good to go and it's yours. That's the whole point, is when you put something up, it is your content, or your art. And so you just got to be really careful. I would not personally ever do that. So like the way to go around it is you have to actually reach out to, there's other musicians, right, in the film school that you can collaborate with and say, hey, I want you to make a beat for me. Let's collaborate. I'll do the dance. We'll put it up as an NFT. There's collaboration. There's community. You're pulling from their following, and they're pulling from your following. That's the whole point, is building that community and making sure that you guys are working together towards a common goal.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly right. You know, you've got a sea of colleagues here who can provide you with some excellent music to choreograph to. So yeah, it's a good answer. Thank you, Adam, for that.
And as someone who teaches IP,
There we go.
that's a great answer.
All right. Hey,
Use it,
get permission.
license.
Yes. Yes.
And it's interesting because, like you said, that it's a whole new space.
Right.
I don't know how the laws are going to move forward when you get into that space.
Right.
But you have to treat it like the current laws, the existing laws, are what govern for now. So you just go by that.
That's right. That's right. So we use current U.S. copyright law. We live under that code until the government tells us otherwise. Now, we had the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, you know, back in the 90s, which addressed the internet and copyright. And I suspect that as we move further and further along into NFTs, that, you know, they'll catch up eventually with new regulations. But absolutely, really good.
There's a huge opportunity there, though, for musicians and producers to be able to create music that's for, I mean, think about Twitch. There's a huge issue going on right now where people can't use, you know, copyrighted music, right? So as a musician, if you can provide music for those streamers, that's one avenue, right? So the other avenue, though, is as an artist to sell those particular tracks as an NFT. Now, let's say somebody buys your NFT, it's an MP3, whatever. They take it to Spotify. They get 1 million plays on Spotify, or they use it on YouTube. You have a royalty attached to that NFT. So you want that thing to be as successful as possible, to be streamed on all kinds of platforms. You want as many views and listens to that album or that track as you possibly can. You don't have to take it to Spotify yourself and try to get a bunch of people. You can have it be sold because you're going to make a royalty on it. So there's an entirely new income stream potential there, where you're meeting a demand. There's a lot of people that need music that they can play, so you're providing that for them. And then the more people that are playing that, the more money you're going to make. So, and they're making money on those streams as well. That's the benefit. So you're collaborating with somebody who's purchased that NFT. They're going to make money on the stream. You're going to make money on the stream. So,
And just another way to contextualize it, how many times have you listened to a song and said, that's my song? How many of you said that? That's my song. That's mine, right? Well, now it can be yours. And that's how you should think about it as a musician, is like you can actually make 1 of 1s or 10 of 10s and actually have someone go, that is my song. When they play it, that's my song. I own that. And that's special. That's a whole nother layer. Because if you think about it from the baseline of what is entertainment, well, you have to entertain someone. And where things are going between Minecraft, Roblox, like all these other things where kids are now creating and participating in ecosystems, the next generation is trained to not be a spectator sport when it comes to entertainment. They want to be involved. They have to be a part of it. And so they want ownership. They want collaboration with those that create it. That's why Roblox is so big. Roblox doesn't make half the content. It's like 99%. It's like other people in the space who are a part of it. And so making that comparison for music, being able to give someone ownership and actually say, hey, you know, and I said this earlier to one of the students, is that you can actually have a system where it's like the first 10,000 of your, you know, you grew a following, you're starting to build a community, and you release 10,000 albums on the blockchain. And they're all, you know, 1 of 1s, but it's on the same music. And you say, okay, here's mine, and the utility I'm going to give is, instead of selling my masters or anything else to the record label, I'm going to build my own record label with my community. I'm going to give you 20%. For those of you that bought that album, you're going to get 20% of the album, profits that I make, and we're going to be the record label. And so like there's so much inception that you can go into that as far as what you can provide with your community. So like just take that into consideration that's, it's all those things culturally that's already primed and ready to go. And Web3 and blockchain and NFTs are actually going to be able to provide that thing that people don't even realize yet that that's what they want, but as soon as it comes out and becomes mainstream, they're going to know that's what they want and they're going to dive right in.
Well, and the collaborative nature of that too is then for your fans to be engaged in that. They're supporting what you're doing, so they're financing your art, but then they're also being able to take the rights that they have, and you can determine whatever rights you want to give people. You can give them all kinds of freedoms, or you can have very restricted freedoms, whatever. But let's say part of that is that they're able to take that thing and turn it into something else. So they take that MP3 or they take that photo that you've given to them, and maybe they build like a fan fiction type story around that particular thing because they have the rights to it. So now that's the cover of their book, and they've created a whole story based on that photo. So you can then come back to them and go, hey, I love what you did with my character. I love what you did with that song. You took it and did this other thing. Let's collaborate. I'm going to grab your song now, and I'm going to put it into this new thing that I'm doing. Or I'm going to take your story, and we're going to turn that into a movie. Because you took my original character that I created, you took it to this other place, and I'm going to now partner with you on this thing over here, and we're going to turn it into something else. That's the mind-blowing part of this. And all of that collaborative sort of nature is going to be all managed through the blockchain. You don't have to sit there with a secretary and have some spreadsheet and try to keep track of all this stuff yourselves. It's all digitized. It's taken care of for you. But you can create something, put it out into the world, watch what people then do with that creation, and then you can go back and partner with them to create it even more and more and more down the road. So that sense of, it's kind of the community love thing I mentioned earlier. If people know that like you want to see them participate in your art and in your community and your world, that love that you can show to people is just going to come back to you in spades. So,
All right, we have time for about 2 more questions. We have one right here. Yes. Can you own a portion of the NFT, or do you have to be the sole owner? Okay.
So that's actually a really good question. You're thinking really deep there, because that is one of the issues in the past several months ago that people had, where an NFT would be really expensive, and it's like, I can't afford that. And so there's actually solutions that are already coming out where it's like where you can fractionalize, where you, like your alpha group, going off that, you have your alpha group and you want to get an NFT, but it's really expensive individually, so you guys are going to pool money together into the same wallet to purchase it together. And there's actually apps, they're called D-apps or decentralized apps, that make that possible to where you own it and someone else owns it and someone else owns it and someone else owns it together collectively. So yes, in short, there is solutions to that, but part of that's going to be able to, a part of research on your part to say, this is the one I want to use to fractionalize this NFT. And then you got to make sure that everyone's on the same page as far as putting it into the same wallet. So yes, absolutely, you can fractionalize, and there's more and more solutions and infrastructure that's been rolling out constantly. So in 6 months, you're going to see way more opportunity to like take advantage of those types of things.
the nice thing though about the crypto nosedive that just happened recently is a lot of NFTs now are much more affordable. So just be aware, it's a great time to buy.
All right, we have time for one more. Yes, Miguel. Is there a connection between NFT and Metaverse?
So that's going to be the panel number 2 that we'll have to, because that's the deep dive into. There's some major cool stuff happening there. Do you want to jump on that, Adam?
Sure. So NFTs and Metaverse, they almost immediately went hand in hand together. A lot of what Metaverse became is because of NFTs pushing out, because of the ownership aspect. I mean, one of the things that we have that's tangible here is the fact that anything we buy here in this plane of existence, we own. And we already have systems in place that verify that. And we didn't really have that digitally. If I put a picture up, just like Clay was talking about, someone else could snake that and download that onto their desktop, but that's not the same thing because it's verified on the blockchain. So because of that, there are different groups. Like there's one thing that you could check out tonight that a lot of people onboarded from. It's called Sandbox. Sandbox is almost like a Roblox or Minecraft, but instead it's like systems where you don't even have to know how to code, but you can create games for people to play, and they can pay tokens from cryptocurrency that's called Sand to participate or tip you based off of the creative things that you made. And also, too, you can actually find, when you play games, unique 1 of 1 or 2 of 2 NFTs in those games and actually sell those on the marketplace and make a profit. So that's crazy to think about, but the long story on that is that when I decided to check it out and dabble in it and learn from it, so I went into Sandbox, checked it out, And I actually went in, and they had NFTs from Bored Ape Yacht Club and a bunch of other stuff that are really well known displayed inside the land that they purchased in this space. So like the metaverse, that's like one version of the metaverse, because truth be told, no one really has a real defined term of what the metaverse is. There's so many different versions of the metaverse and different takes, just like we probably all here on this panel, and then, you know, you guys in the future will have different takes on where NFTs will go, if it's going to last or if it's going to not last or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. Like because of the ownership aspect, the metaverse is going to get more and more involved, and you're going to see much more of a play with that space very, very soon.
Well, and the thing that's going to be really interesting over the next couple of years is the blurring of the lines between the virtual world and the real world. So you're going to start seeing things that you purchase in the virtual world being exchanged for real goods in the real world. So you could go into, say, AMC decides to put together a whole bunch of virtual theaters in the metaverse. And you go in to watch a movie in that virtual theater, and you buy popcorn with an NFT. Maybe your NFT gives you access to tickets and concessions and all kinds of stuff. Or you buy a Coke, and Coke licenses the rights or whatever it is, right? You take that, you're in the movie theater, you're sitting there eating your popcorn, you share it with your friend. I mean, if you've been in virtual worlds, you know how you can do that with people, right? So you're having that experience, but then you can take that token, it's on your phone, whatever, and you walk into a real AMC theater and you show them that, and they go, oh, you're good for a real popcorn. You paid for it in the virtual world, but now you can come into the real world and you can exchange it for the real thing. That kind of stuff, and that's, again, just scratching the surface on some of the things that are being talked about and developed. It's like mind-blowing how our lives are going to be completely blended between the two, where real money is going to be spent on virtual things that have real-world, you know, practical experience. Like you can actually exchange it for something in the real world. It's just going to be crazy the way that they're going to licensing rights and taking advantage of all of these people in that virtual space, being able to then exchange that stuff for real goods and services in the real world is going to be crazy. So.
And Drew, yes.
I was just going to say virtual popcorn is not very tasty.
Virtual popcorn does not sound very tasty.
It's fun to
but-
throw at the screen when you're in the, yeah.
Yeah.
We have an online question over here
Okay.
in the back.
Yes.
Julio Chavez asks how NFTs work with taxes.
With taxes, okay. So our online question is, how do NFTs work with taxes?
Everyone's trying to figure that out.
Adam, can you answer that one?
The short answer is what Ryan said. Everyone's still trying to figure that out. So when you do stuff like in that space, like be very careful and annotate what you have, because there's certain aspects that you can, that's what the SEC is trying to figure out, is what
Is
do
it
you
capital
tax.
gains?
Is it capital gains?
Yeah.
Is it loss? Like they don't know.
Because you pay capital gains on that increase, and then all of a sudden your crypto just tanks, and so now you've got this massive loss. And yeah, that's what everyone's trying to figure out. Like, how does this work?
And because of the volatility and lack of infrastructure
Yeah.
that's in the space, it's really hard for the SEC to figure that out. And so as you see more infrastructure, pay very close attention to the SEC, because the SEC is going to then say, this is what we're going to do now, and this is what we're going to do now. And then now you know how you should navigate that. That's why, for what Ryan said earlier about lawyers and like, you know, people in, you know, accounting, like all those things are going to be a huge advantage in the entertainment space when they start getting into NFTs, because they're going to need their taxes in order to not get slammed by the SEC or other conglomerates. So like, yeah, for, you know, keep in mind of that. Just pay attention, because as the thing scales, you're going to get more and more regulation, which will then give you a more defined answer as to how you navigate those taxes.
And it sucks. I mean, regulations suck, and the SEC and all that stuff, all that oversight. However, the good part is that it allows then more money to go into that space. So institutional investors can then jump in, because they go, we know now what the rules are. So it does help then the expansion of the universe and NFTs and all that stuff. So there's more money being put into that world. So it's this, again, it's kind of a catch-22 type thing. You want regulations to protect people, but you don't want enough to where you can't really get innovative and try new things. So it's frustrating.
Well, our time is almost out tonight, but we want to, first of all, thank everyone for attending, and our online community as well. And, you know, just real quick, we want to mention that we want to be part of your community as well. You know, Ryan and I started, we're filmmakers, and so we started our film development and finance company last year, and very early on, from the very early days, we started talking about NFTs and wondering how can NFTs work for our company and for moving our projects forward and getting our films financed. And so we're very much, still trying to figure out all of the nuts and bolts of this, which is one reason why we brought Adam onto our team as well. EverStar Entertainment is the name of our company, and we want to just invite you to, if you have further questions about NFTs and you want to engage with us, we would love to talk with you about that. We're willing to stick around here as well after this event and willing to speak with you after. And also, we want to invite you to join our Twitter, which is EverStar Ent, which stands for entertainment. And you can ask us questions on there. And also on our Instagram, you can direct message us or message us on there. Our Instagram is EverStar Entertainment, so you should be able to figure that one out really easily. But those are great ways for you to connect with us, because we are building a community. We have 3 NFT launches planned this summer, one after another each month throughout the summer. And we're going to be doing some really exciting things, but most importantly, we want to be a part of your journey and helping you understand NFTs and how they work, and if there's anything we can offer you in that to help you move along in this, because we honestly 100% believe that this is the next step for all of us in this room, in this business. So we hope tonight has been enlightening for you and inspiring for you, and maybe a little confusing at times, but hopefully more inspiring than confusing. So we want to thank Ryan and Adam for being here tonight. Thank you guys very much. And I want to thank our event management class and team who put this together as well. And we want to thank Samuel as well for the live stream work you did. You're awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll be here if you have questions. Thank you.